Welcome, I'm Kara O'Connell from ContextEDU, and today we're going to cover Pear Deck Basics. Pear Deck's an interactive presentation tool used to actively engage students in individual and social learning. Teachers create presentations using their Google Drive account. Students are able to log into that presentation with a code and interact with the questions while the teachers monitor student and whole class progress. Teachers can use Pear Deck to create interactive presentations that allow students to either work self-paced and to respond to various questions throughout the deck. Today we're going to set Pear Deck up, explore commonly used features, and experience what the add-ons like from the perspective of the teacher and from the student. I hope you enjoy the presentation. So to start using Pear Deck, you have to go to add-ons and make sure that Pear Deck is available for you to use. I'm going to go to add-ons, and you can see here that Pear Deck is installed for me. If it's not for you, go down to where it says Get Add-ons, type in Pear Deck in the search bar, and it will show up on your screen. When you click on the app, it will install for you after you enter in your Google information and accept some permissions. So I'm going to go back to add-ons again and open the Pear Deck add-on. When I do that, it's going to open up a toolbar on the right-hand side that allows my regular Google Slides to become interactive. So the lesson that I'm going to present today is about flamingos, and we're going to work through some questions on this topic. But first, I think it's important when we're starting lessons, especially in distance and hybrid models, to start with a little bit of an SEL activity to gauge how ready students are for learning. Over on the toolbar, you'll see that Pear Deck has a template library. One component of that library is social emotional learning, and these are ready-to-go slides that you can incorporate into your presentation. I like this particular one here. This is a stress check. And when I click on it, that's all you have to do. It's going to add that interactive slide right into the deck that I'm creating. There we are. So here's our stress check. When students see this slide, they're able to drag a bar across the screen to indicate their mood as they come into your instruction. One thing I do want to point out to you before we go further is at the bottom here, there's a bar that shows that this is an interactive slide. Be sure not to remove that bar or it will take away the functionality that they provided in this slide. All right, so I've got my stress check. Let's jump into the content. So today we're going to talk about flamingos. I'm going to present fact 1 about flamingos, fact 2 about flamingos, fact 3 about flamingos, and maybe I want to ask my students, what color are flamingos? This is a great opportunity for a multiple choice question, and I'm going to show you how to add one of those from Pear Deck right into your slide. Back at the main menu on the sidebar, under the template library are a list of different ways that you can ask students questions. I'm going to click on the one that says choice. When I do that, it's going to open up 3 possible answers that students can give to my question, what color are flamingos? So I'm going to do red, blue, maybe I'll do pink and add one more black. You can add as many as you want to. And then all I need to do is click Update Slide. You can see that it's adding the interactive question. And I'm sure you saw that bar pop up on the bottom. That means that my slide is now interactive. There are also notes in the presenter notes here. It says that my current options are red, blue, pink, and black. If you want to make any changes to that, you can't make them here in the comment bar. You have to go back to the choice, and you can make any changes that you need to make and update the slide. So that's a multiple choice question. Maybe I want to find out if my students can look at a map and be able to show what state in the United States flamingos are native to. So I'm going to move my line down here and add a new slide. And what I'm going to do is search for a picture of a map of the United States. So I'm going to go to Insert Image, just like you normally would in any slide deck. Search the web, and here's a map of the US. All you got to do is drag and drop it. You'll need to resize it so that it fits nicely on your slide. And maybe you want to use this map to have students identify the state that flamingos are native to. If you look over here at the question types that are available, one of them that you'll see is a draggable type. Opening the draggable type, I can see the different draggable items that I can use. And one of those is a map pin, which is pretty convenient. So I'm going to choose that and change the color if I want to. And if you want, you can add multiple pins. If you have a question that requires students put multiple pins on a map, you can do that. I'm just going to use one for this. And over here, you can change the size of the pin to fit the kind of map that you're working with. With bigger, broader maps like this, I find that smaller pin sizes work really well. And now I'm just going to click Update Slide, and it's adding that functionality to the slide that I created. So far, so good, right? There are a lot of different slides in the slide template. What I'd like to show you is one of the critical thinking slides that we might be able to add in now. Here's one that asks students to make connections. I really like this slide because it draws on prior knowledge. When you click on it, it will import right into your slide deck for you. And in this particular one, you would update the slide to reflect your content, making connections. How are these two things connected? So you may put, how are hawks and flamingos connected? And in the middle, the student would show what connects those concepts. It's just an interesting way to get students thinking deeply about the content in a way that you can gauge across your whole classroom as you're delivering instruction. Another option would be to add in, I'm going to go back to that template, the templates again. During the lesson, you can also do some assessment to get a sense of how things are going for kids. Here's an agree-disagree question. When I click on it, it will import the slide, and I'm going to change the title on this one. And I'm going to say, flamingos are native to Connecticut. You can change the alignment, put it in the center. You can change the font. You can even change the agree-disagree here. But for this particular question, it works okay for me. What this allows for students to do, they'll actually have a dot on the screen. See this blue dot here? And they'll be able to drag it to agree or disagree once they are facing these slides. I'll show you that once we go live. And then finally, at the end of every lesson, I think it's really important to have students reflect on how the lesson went for them. There are a number of different slides that serve this purpose, ready to go. There's one here that's just smiley face to frown face that you could use for lower grade bands. I actually like this one. This allows for students to reflect on multiple parts of the assignment. What did you like? What didn't you like? What was easy and what was hard? I think, especially in distance learning, it's important to be gathering student reflection at the end of every lesson so we can make adjustments to ensure that we're presenting lessons to students that are engaging and that they're participating in within their zone of proximal development. So here's my presentation. Just going to look it over quick and make sure that I don't have any blank slides or any mistakes. Now I'm going to start the lesson so you can see what it looks like from the perspective of a student. So I'm going to click Start Lesson here. It's working its magic. You'll see that you have two options that pop up right away. There's a student-paced activity where they can actually navigate through the slides at their own pace. Awesome for distance learning. And then there's an instructor-paced activity that you would use when you're actually guiding students through these activities in the slide deck. I'm going to choose the instructor-paced activity, and it's launching my slide presentation now. All right, so what you can see here is that there's a web address that students use to join the presentation. I'm going to join that as a student so you can see what this looks like from their perspective. Students go to joinpd.com and then they're asked to enter a code. That code is right here. When students put that code in, it brings them right to a quick little, how are you feeling today? So you can again get a sense and see how your students are coming into the lesson, or they can choose to skip it if they want. And the presentation is loading. When I go back to the teacher screen, My Pear is now saying, your first student connected, start class when you're ready. So I'm going to start my class. The teacher, when they're presenting, can move through the slides, but the students cannot at the way that it was set up. So I'm going to go to the slides one at a time here. Going to start out with the stress check slide that we added at the beginning. Remember that? When I go into the student view, you'll see that that's up on their screen with this purple bar here that they can drag to show their level of stress as they enter into the lesson. Back on the teacher screen, if I click Show Responses, it will show the response for that individual student or a layout version. So this is the individual, and this is what an overlay looks like, so you could see everyone in your class mapped out on that one slide. The next slide that we're going to show is that flamingos slide. What color are flamingos? Remember, we added a multiple choice question here. This is what that looks like for students. The multiple choice is over on the right-hand side of the screen, and students pick what color they think flamingos are. I'm going to choose pink, go back to the teacher view, and show responses. And this shows that the one student that completed the activity in this slide chose pink. Okay, here's our map pinning activity that we had. We were going to ask students which state in the United States flamingos were native to. Here's what it looks like for them. Over on the student screen, you'll see that there's a little map pin over here, and they just drag it down to reflect their answer. When I go back to the teacher view and click Show Responses, I can see that that student answered correctly and put the map pin on Florida, where flamingos are native. If you did an overlay and you saw all of your student responses and they were indicating different states across the country, you would know that you need to reteach that concept because your students didn't understand it. Here's a slide on making connections between two concepts. We talked about the one on the left being hawks and the one on the right being flamingos and what connects these concepts. If we go over to the student slide, the students actually just type right in here. They are both birds, and they can adjust their text, obviously, move it over so that it will fit in the screen. And the teacher view, they are both birds, shows up here. You can see individual student responses are again to the overlay. We asked a multiple choice question. I'm sorry, not a multiple choice question. An agree or disagree question. Flamingos are native to Connecticut. When students see a slide like this, they have a blue dot, and they can move it between agree and disagree to indicate their answer. We're going to leave that one on disagree. Almost done. Our final slide is a reflection on the day's activities. For this one, students type right in using the text feature what they liked or didn't like. Maybe this student likes flamingos. I like flamingos. And they can choose the color of their text, they can choose the size of their text, or they can use these drawing features and erase if they need to. All right, well, that's the Pear Deck Basics. I hope you enjoyed this screencast, and have a great day.